station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to your Hometown Health Show, brought to you by Trilogy Home Healthcare, the industry leader with over 30 years of experience in providing home healthcare services such as skilled nursing, physical and occupational therapy, home health aides, and other specialized care to your homes throughout the state. Please tune in every other week as we bring you a range of good information from specialists in the field to help make you more informed and living healthy.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you to our listeners and viewers for joining us. And you are listening and watching your Hometown Health Show. I'm Yolanda Santana, your host. And we have, as of course, Jennifer Smith, Director of Marketing from Trilogy Home Healthcare. And we also have Karen Edelstein, from our Home Health Coordinator, also from Trilogy. Welcome.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Good evening. And as our special guest, we have Ryan Patton, Director of Operations and co-founder of Honor Flight South Florida. Welcome. Is he on?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Great. Unfortunately, he's only joining us via sound this evening, but that is just fine. And again, we're going to welcome Florida Internal Medicine Associates to our listeners to the show and to discuss how Trilogy and the agency work together to provide optimal care for people at home. Jennifer, if you can, if your voice permits, would you let our listeners and viewers know a little bit about Trilogy?
Sure. Actually, that might have been just an error in the paper. It's just Ryan tonight from Honor. Sorry, my voice, from Honor Flight of South Florida tonight joining us. So yes, I'm the Director of Marketing for Trilogy of Broward, and we are a Medicare certified home health agency. And we provide skilled nursing services, psych nursing services, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and those Medicare type services to any Medicare recipient from Broward all the way up to Jacksonville throughout the state of Florida. So yes, and we're very excited to have Ryan joining us on the phone this evening. And welcome, Karen, to your very first radio show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, especially with Ryan.
Yeah, it's so great. So, Ryan, why don't you tell us, and my apologies, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you do over at Honor Flight South Florida?
Sure. So Honor Flight South Florida, we fly World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, and Vietnam veterans at no cost to the veteran to visit their memorials in Washington, D.C. We do a day trip. We leave early in the morning on a Saturday, and then we come back at night. And we take them to these memorials, World War II Memorial, Korean War Memorial, Vietnam, Arlington National, Iwo Jima. And we're able to go to all these different memorials in one day because we have a full police escort. The Capitol Police takes us everywhere. So they shut down every road for these special people, these very, very special people. And we treat them like they've never been treated before. We have 4-star generals at the airport waiting for them, to shake their hands. And a lot of these guys, these World War II guys, they've never even been in the same area as a general, let alone have them bow down to them and say thank you, for your service. So it's a really cool thing that we do. And then when we come home that evening, we have about 3,000 people show up at the airport, and we give them the welcome home they never got, because people think these, especially World War II, that they came home and they had this big party in Times Square. They didn't. You know what I mean? They came home, they went to work, they never talked about it again for 75 years, and Honor Flight changes that, and we get them talking, and Karen will tell you about it. We take these guys around for the world. I just took 2 veterans to England, to Belgium, and the Netherlands a couple months ago, and people just love these guys. They treat them with such respect because they liberated these countries, So we're doing a really good thing. We're keeping their memories alive.
That is so amazing, and how appropriate to have your name be honor for the company, and to honor veterans who sacrificed so much for our freedom. Would you tell our listeners what your goal is to our veterans?
Well, Honor Flight is a network, and we have hubs in pretty much every state. You know, some states like in Wyoming might handle uh, Montana and Idaho, but pretty much every state is covered. And in Florida, I think we have 9 hubs in Florida because we're one of the most populous states in the country for World War II, Korean War, Vietnam veterans. So we cover Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties. So basically, actually, we cover Boca to Key West. That's our territory. And the goal is to get to as many World War II and Korean War is 5 years behind. So a lot of these guys served in World War II and Korea and Vietnam, but our goal is to get to the oldest, most vulnerable first. And you know, a lot of these guys outlive their wives, they outlive their children, they have no friends, they sit home. These are world heroes. They sit home alone and they have nobody. We not only take them on this incredible trip, but we befriend them. We watch out for them. We take them to. We do so much for these guys and girls too. You know, we just had an event. We had 18 World War II women that we honored that were stationed in Paris, France, that were in the Pacific, that were stateside, that were in Italy. So we kind of we take care of them all. But like I said, we want to get to as many of these veterans as we can while we still have them, and finally give them the honor and the respect that a lot of them never got.
Yeah, definitely. And it's amazing. They must have such amazing stories. I understand you have something called Guardians. Can you tell our listeners what that entails?
Yeah, so the Guardians play such an important role because every veteran has a companion, and we call them Guardians, that go with them. And if you sign up to be a Guardian, you'll meet your veteran prior to the flight. You go to their house, you take them to lunch, take them to dinner, and you get to know them. So on your flight day, it's not just, oh, here you go. You don't know each other, but have fun in Washington. We actually have the Guardians get to know them and get to know their families sometimes. And we become family as a Guardian. You become family with these guys and girls. So to be a Guardian, you pay your Guardian fee. It's a nominal Guardian fee. Ours is $500, and that pays for your flight to Washington, all your meals, 3 meals, your shirt, your hat, and you're paying for the privilege essentially to escort one of these heroes back to their memorial. There's a couple of restrictions that we have, certain age limits. You have to be able to lift a certain amount of weight. You know, so you can, if there is any kind of accident, you have to be able to be there to hold them and you know, anything they need. But we do have paramedics on the flight. We have fire department. We have you know, a lot of good people, medical staff. We have nurses. And Karen's been on a flight. Karen's been on a flight as an actual.
Wow.
She's not only a veteran, but she serves as kind of not a therapist, but somebody that they can talk to if they break down when they're at their memorial and they're thinking about all their brothers that they lost. Karen's played a really, really big role for us. Kind of as sort of, she walks around and you know, if they need somebody to talk to, and she's been great for us.
Wow, goodness. Thank you for your service, Karen.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
of course. So, with the global pandemic going on, can you tell our listeners how this has affected your organization?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic hit a couple of weeks before our spring flight. So we had a flight for April and for May. So we do 2 flights in the spring, 2 flights in the fall because we can't fly in the winter and it's too hot in the summertime. So we have a small window where we can actually take our veterans. And when the virus hit, it kind of, I wouldn't say we canceled, we postponed our trip. And we're hopeful that maybe we can go in the fall. We're kind of waiting on instructions from Honor Flight Network and, you know, on how this is going to play out. But if we have to postpone, we have to postpone. There's nothing, you know, the safety is number one, it's most important. but we didn't want to say, okay, we're not going to do anything. We'll just wait till the next flight. We have volunteers that came up with the ideas, and you might have seen this on the news. It's been on the news on pretty much every news station. We do parades to go to the veterans' houses, especially the World War II guys are the most, or any veteran, a Vietnam veteran that might have Agent Orange that isn't doing too good, that or a Korean War veteran, and we'll go to their houses. And we teamed up with Mission Barbecue, which has been a phenomenal supporter of Honor Flight. And they have their big truck, and they deliver food at every stop to the veterans and their families. Okay, so we do these parades, and we have BSO, we have Plantation Police Department, whatever city we're in, we team up with these fire departments and police departments, city managers, and, we shut the streets down, and we usually have about 30 cars all decorated, and we have the veterans sit outside in a nice comfortable chair, and we do these big drive-bys, and they've been tremendous. They've been so great, and we posted a couple of them on our Facebook site, and they just got such a great response. And on top of that, we're dropping off, masks. We're dropping off hand sanitizer. In a couple of cases, we asked them if they needed food. You know what I mean? If they need fruit, if they need anything they need, we drop it off. So we had to make a pivot. It was either do nothing or figure out a way to not only put smiles on their faces, but make sure that they're okay. Because like I said before, a lot of these people don't have anybody. So we don't do it. Who does it? You know what I mean? So our volunteers have been doing just a phenomenal job.
That's wonderful. That's great. On that note, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Trilogy was established in 2016 by industry experts with over 30 years in home health care operations spanning 30-plus counties throughout the state of Florida. With offices in Jacksonville, Port St. Lucie, West Palm Beach, we strive to provide the most optimal care to our patients in a fun, forward-thinking environment. Our focus is on personal relationships, whether with an employee, a patient, or an outside community. Because we know that when people enjoy what they do, it becomes why they do it. Call Trilogy today at 954-689-6660 and ask for more information. In addition to offering the standard mix of services, SN, PT, OT, speech, MSW, and HHA, we also take great pride in being on the cutting edge and offering care and education to our licensed clinicians in other areas most agencies likely don't offer. Emotional and behavioral health with our psych nursing, biofeedback for bladder incontinence and pelvic pain, chemotherapy, IV hydration, antibiotic and respiratory therapy. Call today at 954-689-6660. Trilogy Home Care. You have been listening to the Trilogy Home Health Show, and if you wish to be a guest on our show, please call us at 561-670-9213 and let us share your knowledge and information with our listeners. Trilogy Home Health Care Show enjoys serving the community and bringing doctors and facilities of interest to help educate and inform the community. Please call us at 561-670-9213 and let us put you on the airwaves with the Trilogy Home Health Show.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to your Hometown Health Show. I'm Yolanda Santana, owner of All But Second, host for this evening. Again, we're here with Jennifer Smith and Karen Edelstein. We're also here with Brian Patton from Honor. Welcome back again. And I wanted to, again, Ryan, you clearly have something very amazing in South Florida, and I want to thank you for what you do for our veterans. Can you tell our listeners what support services you have found our South Florida veterans need the most?
Well, I mean, a lot of the we started working with World War II veterans, and a lot of these World War II veterans, when we started our hub, the youngest was 89 years old, I believe, or 88. And so a lot of the veterans, like I keep saying, they don't have anybody. And, so a companion is very important as far as services go. If we have some retired people from the VA hospital, so for medical, we kind of refer them to the right people. But our mission is to fly them to be honored and to give them the thanks they never received. But what we see a lot. You know what I mean? We see a lot of veterans that are in need, and we're kind of on the front lines with these guys. We're in their houses. We do everything we can to take care of them. And when you become a guardian, you become like family to these guys. So there's so much that they do need. It's probably a whole nother show on that.
Ryan, I have a question. When you say, companion, because, I understand that they're alone, and just from previous experience dealing with some veterans, not all, sometimes they can be resistant to opening up and whatnot and allowing people in. If we knew people that wanted to get more involved and assist with that, how should we go about, or how open do you find your veterans are to having maybe companions, or just people coming by, or people being, the veterans are to, having someone be more involved in their life as a companion?
Yeah, that's a good point, because, we could find a veteran and they'll fill out an application, and we'll call them up and they say, what, I don't want to go. I'm not a hero. I don't deserve this. And we have people at Honor Flight that call them up, and we have past veterans that have flown on the flight to say that, this is why you should do it. Even if it's in the memory of somebody that that was lost and never came home. But it's true. A lot of the veterans sometimes don't want to go, and they're resistant. And just so you know, all of our guardians, our companions on the flight, are all vetted. A very strict background check and everything. And so when they kind of call the veterans to do the initial lunch, or to meet before the flight, it luckily for us, it always works. It always has worked out good. We never had any problems with it, but sometimes you do get veterans that are a little kind of standoffish. Maybe they haven't had a friend in a long time, and so in some cases, you're right, it is kind of tough, where you have to bridge the gap and get them kind of more comfortable.
I'm going to piggyback off that
with somebody.
Go ahead, Karen.
Jennifer. Okay. To that point, I think it's about education. Like, the more we educate ourselves about the history of our country and our veterans, the more open a veteran is to receiving any type of care from anybody else. Because a lot of our veterans are, and they've been through a lot of struggles and a lot of challenges, that if you don't understand the culture of war, or you don't understand a little bit, at least the foundation of our country, and you try to talk to a veteran, let's say it's a Vietnam veteran, if you say welcome home, they know you get it. If you talk to a World War II veteran and you say, thank you for my freedom, instead of just generic, thank you for my service, like, there's different things. And if the more educated we are on the foundation of where these guys came from, men and women, the more open they are to receiving help from people. Even with the VA, when you can identify that a veteran has every right to be resistant to even go to the VA, because they might have a lot of bad experiences from serving our country. But when you understand that and you meet them where they're at, then they're a little bit less resistant. And like we were talking earlier, Jennifer and I, about how we honor our veterans and thank them for our freedom, welcome them home by pinning them with an American flag. It just opens up a whole world of communication. And sometimes they've never even shared some of these stories with their families and their closest friends, but they need to share it. I think just identifying with their needs and really understanding, not acting as if, but really just getting a little bit more educated.
Thank you for that, Karen. It really opened my eyes. I didn't even know about that. Different. I mean, it's. I'm well aware, but I didn't know that it would affect different people in different ways, obviously. So, Ryan, thanks for those explanations. And can you tell us how Honor Flight South Florida and Trilogy fit together?
Well, we're a great team, because the folks at Trilogy are, they're around a lot of these veterans, and whether it's going to an assisted living facility, or going to someone's house, they're kind of in the trenches of being, around our most vulnerable older Americans or veterans, and so the fact that they're around them and they can say to them, after when you're healthy enough and you're ready, let's get you an application. You know what I mean? Let's get you signed up. We tell people to go to churches. We tell them to go to the temple. We tell them, if you see a guy in a grocery store and he's wearing his World War II hat, if you see him at a restaurant, always go up to him, thank them for their service, and ask them if they've ever heard of Honor Flight. That's the way to do it. Now, right now it's a lot tougher because we're shut in. You know what I mean? So we're not seeing anybody, and especially veterans, out because. As you guys probably know, a lot of them can't. If they leave their facility, they have to be quarantined for 14 days. So a lot of these guys aren't going out at all. We can't go in there to see them, so that's kind of been tough. But what you guys do is kind of you guys are trusted advisors. You're trusted caretakers of these veterans, and being the fact that you guys are around them, it helps us out because we can't be everywhere. You know what I mean? We rely on our community to get us the veterans, to refer them to us. And a lot of times they don't have internet access. They don't, they're not tech savvy. So somebody like Karen's done speeches at so many different assisted living facilities all over South Florida with me. I mean, we've been doing it since 2011. And she really relates to them because she's a caretaker and she's in this line of work. So if I have her come out to a lot of events, and she's helped me with them and spoke to veterans, and she signed up so many. And when you do something like that, here's the thing, is their families are so grateful because they can't do this. Nobody can do this. You know what I mean? The way that Honor Flight was set up and what we do is it's such a gift, not only to the veterans, but to their families. And the families send the letters like you wouldn't believe, especially after they pass away, and they say, my father, my mother said it was the best day of their life, and it brings so much joy, not only to the veteran, but to their families as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, it sounds like such a great program and your company. And finally, how can someone get in touch with each of you?
Well, the best way to get in touch with Honor Flight is either through Facebook or our website. Our website's honorflightsouthflorida.org, and it's a great tool to show, because we have so many pictures of our trips, and the veterans aren't alone. We have 75 to 80 veterans on each flight. These are World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Now World War II is starting to slim down a little bit, but there's still so many World War II veterans in South Florida, and I think South Florida is one of the only places in the country that actually the numbers go up, because after bad winters, people move their loved ones back to South Florida. So we're in a unique situation in South Florida, and like I said, helping us get to the veterans is probably the toughest part of Honor Flight. For us to find the veterans. Because there's not something we can't just call the government and say, hey, give us the names of all the veterans. It doesn't work that way. So we rely on the community and people like Karen to help us bridge that gap to find the veterans.
Do you have a phone number?
That's awesome. One of the things that we're doing at Trilogy now is that on all of our intakes, we find out whether or not our patient is a veteran. So it helps us to identify the veterans. We can help them with resources such as aid and attendance. We can also hopefully encourage them to go on the next Honor Flight, whether it's virtual or real. Hopefully it'll be on a real airplane, but we do a lot by educating the veterans and their needs.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dan. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for listening to your Hometown Health Show, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to our
Trilogy Home Healthcare invites you to call our offices before making a decision about your home health and rehabilitative care. Different from other agencies, Trilogy offers specialized service that other agencies don't, providing exceptional care. That's who we are and what we do. Call us at 866-599-4959 or go to trilogyhomehealthcare.com.